Hello, Madam Z here, and thank you for hanging out with me today and Jarrod, Rowan Wolf. How are you, Jarrod? Thanks for hanging out with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Awesome.
Doing well.
Good. So how was your weekend?
It was good. We catching up on some work and home projects and getting a couple items ready for the loot boxes.
Awesome.
So excited about that.
So excited about that. The weather's changing.
It is. Moving into my favorite season.
Yep. The season of the witch, right?
Yeah.
So Jarrod is one of our presenters, and he's going to be speaking about runes and teaching us all about how to read runes. So we're so excited to have you. The Witches Gathering event is November 6th to the 8th. He's going to be one of the presenters there, presenting a workshop, like I said, on the runes. So happy to have you at the event. It's going to be fantastic. So my name is Madam Z. If you don't know me, I am a magical life coach, and I have an online academy, and I teach witches how to come out of the broom closet and empower them through magic. So welcome to our little interview with Jarrod. So just Jarrod, tell me a little bit about yourself and just where people can find you and hang out with, and just introduce yourself and what you really do and what you're excited about the event.
Wow. Let's see. I guess probably start with my mundane muggle life, I suppose, if I can say that. I'm a nutritionist, chef, former chef, I guess I should say. Currently, I'm a professional brewer. I've been involved with mysticism, the occult, whatever you want to call it, my witchy life since I was turned 12. I discovered the runes around then and made my first set out of tree bark and red paint, and stumbled across numerous books and scoured the basics of the internet, whatever was available in 90, 94, 95. And then have been walking with the runes off and on, and just recently, within the past 2-3 years, really dedicating myself and taking that role up. So about 28 years now that I've been working with that as an art and divining tool.
Cool. Have you ever deviated? You've been doing it for about 28 years, right? Have you ever deviated from, the system of runes, or is that really what you concentrate on?
That's what I found works best for me. That's what I found that I have the strongest connection with. Second strongest, though, would definitely be Ogham, which is the Celtic tree alphabet divination tool, record keeping system. It focuses on the trees and working with those and their hierarchy of trees, shrubs, and so forth. I got into that. I've been recently getting back into that again, and I'm going to start incorporating that into my rune crafting business as well, and developing Ogham along with that. I tried my hand at tarot. I'm terrible at it. I would prefer to work with 24 or 33 items rather than 70 something I have to remember. And I did make a tarot deck once when I was younger, and I made it out of Magic the Gathering cards. And I had that tarot in 10-minute books, and went through and found cards that correlated or at least had imagery of things like the sun and the chariot and so forth. And did my best to make that, and couldn't do anything with it. So that's somewhere in oblivion at this point.
But we all have our own style, right? And what we're drawn to, for sure. I tried to do runes a long time ago and took classes. I took another class about 5 or 6 years ago when I first moved to Austin. Took an in-depth class, just couldn't grasp it. Still can't grasp it. So I can totally understand where you come from when you're trying to learn tarot. Different system. You're like, not for me. I'm going to work what's, what I'm called to work with.
Right. The runes are very, very direct at times, whereas tarot can be, I feel, very abstract. And, you look at the image on the picture and there's so much going on, and you have to try to decipher what it is. And, you pull a rune and you're like, oh, Fehu, okay, cattle, liquid wealth, movability, exchange of things. And you kind of can build that reading and interpret it based on that a little bit more simplistically, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So my brain works better that way.
Yeah, it can be for sure. So tell us a little bit, what was your turning point that got you into the runes?
Oh my goodness. So my wife is a level 3 Reiki master, or I guess that's the terminology they use. And she was doing a healing on me. And during that time, I went on a little vision, little journey, and ended up in my normal sacred place. And my one of my spirit guides was there, which is the bear. And I'd been dreaming about one of the runes for a while. It was Uruz, which is a rune of physical strength as well as instinct and so forth. During that time where I was visiting with the bear, he asked me to kill him. And I don't know how often you're faced with asking to kill a spirit guide, but, especially in a journey. And it was something that I wasn't willing to do. And I think that was my argument with myself about kind of changing my mindset in my current world, physical world, and moving into that metaphysical world a little bit more. In that journey, he basically reared at me and told me to attack him and kill him with the spear that was in my presence. And I finally did so after he convinced me he wouldn't have been sending Uruz, the strength rune, if I didn't have that capability to do it. And during that time, I, took on his skin and wore that in the vision and danced. And it was at that time when everything kind of clicked. I learned that multiple spirit guides that I have actually have their names are of rune names. There is Ak, which is the rune of the oak or Angraboda, who is a giantess chieftain and mother of Fenrir and multiple other Loki's children. And my wolf, whose name has eluded. His name has eluded me for years. It turns out it's Isa, which is one of my favorite runes. And one of his things that he's always wanted to teach me is patience and discipline. And that rune is all about that for sure.
Yeah, I know sometimes we got to be careful what we ask for, right? Especially you ask for patience, and then the universe will give you some kind of like a broken car, where you have to have patience for it to be fixed, and you're like, that's not what I was asking for.
Yes.
But good one.
Very true.
Good one. So tell us a little bit about what the runes are for the people who aren't familiar, and for the people who this is very new system to them.
Sure. So for me to really understand the runes, it delves into the historical aspect as well as the metaphysical side. Yes. And when reading runes as a divination tool is pretty recent, probably in the 60s, 70s, it kind of became mainstream. Until then, it was really seen as a language, although the poetic Eddas and Volsung sagas and so forth, a lot of the sagas reference using runes for magical purposes. Right. So the runic system that's used today for divination is the Elder Futhark. And the way they kind of devised that this is the oldest version was going backwards. And they went through the Anglo-Saxon Futhark, the Northumbrian, the younger Futhark as well, where there are poems that were where they would use what are called kennings and little rhyming methods to remind you what each one was and how, what they meant and so forth. And from there, they deduced what the Elder Futhark may have meant. So, and then that's where that kind of came from. They all had their phonetic value for sound. They all had an interpretation of what that rune may have meant. And then we apply that into a divination, into a tool to understand what it is that they're telling us. On a spiritual level, I believe that the way that they were found and discovered, of course, is Odin sacrificed himself to himself by hanging from Yggdrasil, the world tree, and received the runes from one of the wells of the Norns.
Yeah.
From the tree itself. And when he had them, he eventually passed them on to humanity, passed them on to the other gods and goddesses. Freyja, she took them up and with her practice of Seidr and really helped Odin along with those as well. So they're two of the primary gods and goddesses that are rune driven for sure, and I work with.
And you've taught in a class for me in one of my academies. Very much loved it. All my students enjoyed it. It was great.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we had a good time. Lots of information, and the thing that I liked about your presentation too was about you get this history lesson also with this stuff. It's not just like, Isa means this, go pull a rune kind of thing. You give you like a background of it. You give you all kinds of information about that rune and where it came from. So it's kind of like a living history that you create when you do your workshops.
Well, thank you. Yeah,
it's really interesting. So I really enjoyed it. So I know you guys will love it for sure. It's going to be great. So talk to us and tell us a little bit about your favorite kind of magic.
Ooh, that's a good question. I mean, working with runes and rune casting, of course, I feel like is a given at this point. I love working with the bind runes, which are similar to sigils and kind of creating their elements. But other sources, definitely healing. I like working with energy. My wife has kind of taught me a little with Reiki, and I'm going to be hopefully attending some of the classes that she participates in here soon. So, energy healing work. I've always loved herbs and working with herbal remedies and that sort of thing. It's one of the things that drove me into nutrition and dietetics as well as culinary. So I guess in a strange sense, alchemy, not necessarily turning lead to gold, but, turning barley and hops and water into beer and, taking elements of food and changing them into something really magical. And that to me is just as much, what magic might be as casting a spell next to an altar. It's that manipulation of change of energy and so forth.
Awesome. So just kind of like a weird question, since you work in a brewery and you're into rune magic, do you actually write any of your sigils on the brewery?
So funny story. When we were building the brewery, when I took this job out here, we were laying the floors, and I went ahead and the night before had drawn up a bind rune for success and good fortune and victory, because I kind of wanted to win some awards.
Right. Yeah.
And it's still buried under the brew house. Working its magic. We're a pretty successful brewery, I'd like to say.
Yeah, so it works.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have to manifest it, and the good thing about runes and sigils is you can kind of hide it so no one knows it. Right. So
what's even better is I had forgotten about it completely until, God, I guess 2015 when we took our first major award, and I was like, oh yeah, I put that under there.
Yeah.
So that was great.
Yeah, it works. Sometimes it's a little bit slow, but it works for sure. I know you talked a little bit about herbs, and we're going to have an amazing speaker that's going to be talking about herbs.
I just saw that. I'm really excited to sit in on that one.
Yeah. So the combination of your history of what you're into and what she's into is very much linear. So I think you guys will really enjoy each other. Yeah. The herbalism and the runes, you can do all kinds of stuff with it. So it'd be kind of cool if you can create a whole altar with and take like herbs from like the Celtic and just make a rune out of herbs.
Oh yeah, that'd be really cool.
Yeah, this is the kind of stuff we're going to be doing in the event, is get really creative with our magic. Bringing it all together and making the magic that works for you. A lot of times, especially where we are now, we're not able to travel. And so you're just probably, people are like, oh my gosh, I want to go to this rune course or class, but I can't because, he's way over here. Now we're bringing it all together in one place so that the people can really learn and dive into different aspects of their magic. And runes are very much prominent. So I think even if you don't resonate with runes, you still need to learn about it, because you never know when you're going to cycle through again and you're like, now I'm ready to learn runes, right? And it's going to give you that introduction, and it's going to and spark that intuition again and spark your magic, because a lot of us now are just kind of like by ourselves. We're kind of solitary now. And, bringing in the Witches Gathering, which is November 6th through the 8th, we're going to bring all of this magic together and learn together in the sacred circle. So hive mind is really, really important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hive mind, for sure. So tell us a little bit about the workshop that you're going to be teaching us.
All right. So kind of fitting with the theme of Samhain and All Souls Day and Feast of the Dead and everything, I wanted to focus on 3 runes in particular. And there are 3 runes of death and transformation, which is, to me, what that season is all about. And we'll be focusing on Hagalaz, which is hail. A lot of people that's one that people get freaked out by when it comes up in a reading, because it shows disruption. If you know what you're looking at, it's a good thing, but it can definitely freak people out a little bit. Another one all about transformation is Ivaz. So we're going to be talking a little bit about that and its relationship with yourself and how to grow with it and work with it. And then we'll be delving into one that some people may not be familiar with, which comes from the Anglo-Saxon Futhorc, which is Ar, which is the rune of the grave. And that one's become one of my absolute favorite runes. It doesn't come up a lot, but when it does, it's one that I definitely pay attention to, because it means there's something big's going to happen. It's a big shift, but it's going to take a lot of time to come about. Yeah.
It's, it's just like with the death card or the tower card or the devil card, people freak out about it. And, I'm not going to lie, it sucks to go through it. Total disruption. You have to go through, the growth period, the painful period, the disruption. But we know is coming on the other side of that is, transformation and beautiful life and, just freedom. But it sucks when you pull that rune and you're like, I don't want to go through this.
You want that end result, but you don't, it's just dealing with all the BS in the middle.
Correct. All the journey to get to the other side is
right.
What,
so we'll be talking about that and how to incorporate that into your life and how to deal with it in general, like what to expect, what not to expect, and how to incorporate that into a reading and really understand what that means when it comes up.
Correct. And I think a lot of people now are going to be attracted to it because we are in, the wheel of the year is turning into Samhain, where we do inner work. And we do a lot of reflection on what, happened in the first part of the year and how we want to manifest and how we want to change going into the new year, or the witch's new year, and what we need to release and cut and, what we don't want to bring into the new year. Right. So that'll be, it's very fitting for this time of year for sure. I love it. I love anything that's kind of dark.
Me too. I grew up on horror movies. I was raised in a funeral home I was raised in, and lived in a haunted house after. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my life has kind of been surrounded by that forever and a day.
Yeah. So we're okay with that. We're good with that. I've been watching this.
Absolutely.
Love it. I've been watching this new show. I think it's on Netflix. I think it's on Netflix or Hulu, because I always switch between Netflix, Hulu, and YouTube. But I think it's called Lovecraft Country or something like that.
I think it's HBO, actually, that one's on.
Is it HBO?
Yeah, I've wanted to watch that. I hear it's fantastic.
Oh, my God. Yeah. It's a little bit slow in the beginning just because they're trying to character build or build the character. And you're like, come on, just get to the gore, right? But, it's so worth it, especially for Samhain coming up. And it's really good.
Excellent. So, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah. We need to make like a Samhain or movie playlist or something.
Yeah. You got to put Trick or Treat at the top of that. That's one of my favorites.
Trick or Treat? I don't think I've ever seen seen that one.
It's a little horror anthology. So there's, I think, like 3 or 4 stories in there, about 20 minutes each, and it's a lot of fun. It's a good one.
Yeah, but
It's,
I like that.
campy, cheesy, but at the same time, it's got a little freak to it. It's good.
Yeah. But I like all that campy, cheesy old stuff like Elvira and Wolfgang. Was his name Wolfgang or
Yeah, I think that
Wolfpuck, or I don't know what his name. Wolfman.
right.
I think it was Wolfman or something. I don't know. All those cheesy ones, they're pretty funny. So where can people get a hold of you if they want to like do a reading or they want more information about where do you hang out at?
So I'm currently in the process of setting my business up. It's still in its fledgling stages. I'm getting ready to start taking orders, hopefully from this event.
Yes.
So in the meantime, Facebook and Instagram are probably the best ways to get a hold of me through Messenger, as well as email. It's always in there as well. Facebook is, I think, at Rowan Wolf of the Runes. Instagram is at rowanwolf.of.the.runes. Because that was simple for me to pick.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's a good one to reach at, and rowanwolf.oftherunes@gmail.com are going to be the best ways to get a hold of me right now. Facebook Instant Messenger, using that is the ideal.
Yeah. And I'll put all the links and everything in your bio so people can click on it and send you messages and hang out. So before I let you go and we end the interview, let me know or tell everybody what you are really crushing on, or what you're listening to, or what you just vegging out to, as far as like witchcraft or part of your craft, or what you're really like diving into.
Goodness. Well, I've been learning heavily because we never stop learning. If we stop learning, there's definitely something wrong. From Ken Edwards, the Rune Walker, and his podcast has been influential and has a lot of great information on it. So Rune Walking in Modern Times. Trying to remember What in the Weird, I believe is what it's called. And that one's a great, she does like little 5-minute, 10-minute snippets about runes that she's pulled and their history. And she does like a weekly rune reading and a monthly rune reading. I really like that one.
Oh, that's Kelly. Right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Kelly Harrell. Yeah. Okay. Just phenomenal. I really like her. And then Mountain Rose Herbs is a company that we buy a lot of herbs from in the brewery when we brew Gruit Ale, which is hopless beer every February. But I pick up a lot of stuff from them just for myself too. And they have a podcast that I've been listening to, and that's been really beneficial.
I did not know they had a podcast.
Yeah, it's still growing. They've got I think maybe 20 episodes on, and it seems like it's a lot of seminars that they do that are recorded. But the information is fantastic.
Yeah, we'll have to check it out. Because I know I've been buying them for years and years, buying from them. So yeah, we love them. Yeah,
their products are great. We picked up White Sage, I think, for a beer last year, and it was absolutely gorgeous. The price was fantastic. The product came very quickly, and it's great. They have everything you could ever want.
I know. We love them. All right, Jarrod, thank you so much for hanging out. And you're going to be hanging out with us and teaching us all about runes at the Witches Gathering November 6th through the 9th. Isn't it 6th through the 9th? 6th through the 8th?
6th to the 8th.
6th through the 8th. It's been one of those days where everything's just running together. You're like, I'll be there. Just tell me when. So November 6th through the 8th, you can grab your tickets now. They're available now. Early bird pricing is available, but the early bird pricing is going away. So you want to grab those tickets as soon as you can before the prices go up. So join me and Jarrod and a whole bunch of other fabulous speakers at the Witches Gathering event this November. And there's links in the bios, links in the comment sections, and then right at the bottom you have the link that's tickering at the bottom, scrolling through. So we hope to see you November 6th through the 8th at the Witches Gathering virtual event where we bring the magic to you. Thanks, Jarrod, for hanging out with us.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Thanks. Take care.
Witch on, everyone.